Used EV prices are having pretty significant drops right now, and we have data that's going to go into all of the information and details around what's going on with these used car prices.
Yeah, I've seen so many articles pop up over the past week, 2 weeks, the past month over Tesla's price cuts and how that might be affecting everything else in the EV market. But a lot of people are writing those headlines and articles without a ton of data to go off of. And here we have a lot of numbers, a lot of data for you. And we're gonna see by the end of this video why some of these electric cars are taking such a massive price cut.
That's right, because IC Cars put out an article that compares data from almost 2 million 1 to 5-year-old used cars that were sold in February 2023 and in 2024. And it does appear that EVs are having much more significant drops in their value than gas vehicles. And some people are saying that this is exclusively Tesla's fault. We actually have a lot of information around that as well.
Yeah, we'll get to that towards the end of this video. But first, let's just get into some of these numbers. So EV pricing dropped 10 times faster from February 2023 to February 2024 when you compare that to gas models, which is pretty significant.
Yeah, that's according to the IC Cars study. And the average used car is trading for around $31,153. And again, that's for 1 to 5-year-old used cars.
Gas cars too.
Yeah.
That's for an internal combustion engine powered car. So yeah, when you compare that to last year's numbers, that's a drop of $1,161 or a 3.6% decline in pricing over the past year. But things start to get a little crazier when we look at hybrids and even really crazy when you go into EVs.
So gas cars, like we just said, have dropped about 3.6% or an average of $1,161. That drop for a hybrid is closer to $2,135 or around 6.5%, which is almost double what it was for just a pure gas car.
Yeah, and then if you look at EVs, that's where the real shocker comes in because you go from 6.5% in hybrids to 31.8%. EV pricing dropped on average about $14,418, again, 31.8%. And if you look at this graph right here, you can see gas, EV, and hybrid all on there. And all three of these across the board, you can see a decline in pricing. And some of that has to do with just other factors in the economy and overall where the used car market is going in terms of pricing. But there is a very significant difference when you look at the EV side of things. That red to blue jump is really noticeable.
Yeah, if you look back to March of 2023, so about a year ago, the average used EV price was $43,694. And that's an $8,850 drop even from the year before that, which was a 16.8% change year over year.
Yeah, so from 2022 to 2023, EVs saw a 16.8% drop in used pricing. And then you go from 2023 to 2024, and that number, again, almost doubles, going from 16.8% all the way to 31.8%.
Now, we also have some data here for the biggest price drops by brand. And this is, again, for 1 to 5-year-old cars. Tesla is at the top of that list with a 28.9% price difference. And that's a $14,808 difference. So the average price that we're seeing from these Tesla cars that are in this study is $36,515.
Yeah, and Tesla definitely leads this list. I mean, their price changes are the most drastic when you look at them compared to the other brands on this list. Alfa Romeo and Maserati were also kind of the top of this list, but at a 13.3% and a 9% change in pricing, respectively. Nowhere close to that 28.9% price difference that you saw in Tesla. And again, these numbers here we're looking at are for all cars sold by the brand, not just EV models.
Yeah, and the overall average for all these brands in the industry is 3.6%, or that $1,161 difference that we were talking about before. So that's the overall compared to these that are at the top of that list.
Pricing in the used car market is declining as it is. It doesn't matter if you're looking at a gas car, an electric, or a hybrid. That's a trend that's just in the auto industry right now. I mean, pricing for used cars did get a little bit insane last year. So
yeah,
we
it's been coming
expected,
down.
yeah, we expected a little bit of a dip. So yeah, I mean, you would expect to see, hopefully, or I would have expected to see somewhere around that average drop of 3.6%, and we're way above that.
More evidence that electric vehicles are the biggest portion of this is looking at the list of the top 10 cars, individual models that have had the biggest price drops over the past year. The first on this list, all the way through the 7th car on this list, all top 7 are all EVs. We have number 1, the Bolt EV. Number 2, the Nissan Leaf. We have number 3, the Kia Niro EV. Number 4, the Kona Electric. Then we have the Tesla Model X, Tesla Model 3, Tesla Model S. So those are the top 7 cars that have lost the most amount of value. Number 1, the Chevy Bolt EV, has lost about $7,847 of value on average, or 30.4%.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to look at this list specifically because, yeah, like you said, numbers 1 through 7, all electric cars, but then look at 8, 9, and 10. I mean, those are not cars people are buying in big numbers. Those are cars you would expect to see pretty massive price drops on in the used market. I mean,
yeah,
you know, cars we see every day on the road here, like Toyota 4Runners and Tacomas and Ford Explorers. I mean, they hold their value better because they're sold in, you know, crazy volumes. These are more premium luxury cars that are produced in way lower volumes, and those are typically the cars you see much bigger price hits on. The higher cars on this list, those are much more common models that are made in larger quantities. And yeah, it's a little shocking to see those on this kind of list.
Yeah, and for reference, those cars that are at positions 8, 9, and 10 are respectively the Alfa Romeo Stelvio, the Jaguar E-Pace, and the Mercedes-Benz CLS. So that's what rounds out the list of the top 10 cars that have lost the most value. And of course, we have to talk about why this is happening. Everyone that's been following what's going on with car pricing and used car pricing and new car pricing has seen that Tesla has had some pretty major price cuts in the past, which is certainly an aspect of why this is happening in the EV market, but Tesla is not the only one. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, Tesla, you see this about the most. People write about Tesla all the time because Tesla, the word itself, is a very clickable headline, and that's what gets views. But all the other brands are doing it too. I mean, you look at GM, they just announced price cuts of the Blazer EV of over $6,000. Same thing with Ford. The Mach-E was just slashed in terms of price, with price cuts going all the way up over above $8,000, depending on what model you get. Price cuts on the F-150 Lightning. It's all across the board. It's just we've been seeing the most coverage on Tesla because Tesla is one of the most popular EV brands out there, and they're probably the most recognizable to someone who's not super into electric vehicles.
Which is making it easy to call this an exclusively Tesla thing, but it's certainly happening across the industry, and it's a combination of all these things that are creating what we're seeing here with these used EV prices.
Yeah, so we're curious to hear your thoughts on this and your experiences shopping for an electric car. So if you've been on the dealer lot recently and you've been shopping around, we want to know kind of what the best deals you've seen. How much is that little discount on the window sticker showing? It'd be cool to see what dealers are offering on some of these vehicles right now, because from the looks of it, there's some inventory piling up.
Yeah, and it's a double-edged sword, because if you own one of the vehicles on this top 10 list, that's obviously a hit to the value of your vehicle. But if you're shopping for one of these vehicles, you might be able to find a really good deal on one of these cars, because plenty of the cars on this list are good cars.
Yeah, totally. And so there you go. If you're shopping for a used EV, this might give you some info on what exactly to look out for.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Check out alltfl.com so you don't miss anything. We'll catch you in the next video.